at 3 to 5 o'clock this afternoon. And we're better than here at the St George Leagues Club. Yes, it is big, hence its Taj Mahal nickname. Large enough, in fact, to accommodate the egos of some of our politicians. There might even still be room for us inside. Let's go and see what this grand final tradition is all about.
I'm absolutely biased, of course. I just happen to think St George is the greatest team in the game. It's made the greatest contribution to the game, and it'll prove it again today. I'm very conscious, of course, that the Prime Minister couldn't make it today. But I did hear him recently give a speech on football and talked about kicking tries, and I then started to understand why perhaps he wouldn't come.
And so today, on my 43rd birthday, I asked for one more magnificent memory, one more great St George victory. And as far as John Hewson's concerned, I do have one message from the Prime Minister. He said, tell them this is the premiership they have to have. And he said, and remind John Hewson if he's there, he said, tell the whole crowd, take your time, take it easy, take the full 80 minutes and do them slowly.
I think we should take a bow after that,
Ryan, we think you're more nervous as a player or as a coach today?
Oh, I feel pretty good today, Steve.
got 8717.
We've done all our homework and we're ready for it. I mean, obviously we're hoping that things are a little bit, you know, go to plan the way all the things that we've put together this week just run the way we want them to. So far it's gone that way, so mate, there's not much point in me getting nervous all about it.
The weather looks like it's going to be kind to good football.
Yeah, we checked the forecast out early in the week and generally they're pretty, despite what people think, they're pretty close to the mark, and I think we're going to have a fine day and a real good day for rugby league.
Brisbane got a wussy pack of forwards. The only reason they made the semi-finals is because they've got a New South Wales player play for them, Glenn Lazarus, and that's all I got to say.
I think you said it all. Well, there's nothing like food to stimulate conversation and opinion. Whether any of this lot know what they're talking about, we'll know in a couple of hours. And I guess predictions in the St George Leagues Club are predictable, but I'm sure they're no less parochial in the Brisbane camp. Warren, back to you.
Yes, Steve, though you have to remember that before the Broncos, many Queensland fans went for one of the traditional Sydney clubs. But the Broncos have captured the imagination of the Brisbane public, especially the new generation of footy fans. So what's the atmosphere been like in Brisbane in the build-up to the big one? Grand final fever, or the local strain Bronco fever, must have been incubating early in the week in relaxed casual Brisbane because outbreaks were surprisingly few and far between. Perhaps it was the lack of on-field action, one game in 4 weeks, or overconfidence about the result. Or perhaps the fans were sticking to their normal routine, following Wayne Bennett's instructions to treat this game like any other game. True, there were signs of delirium when supporters camped out for 2 nights at the Broncos Leagues Club to be first in line for grand final tickets on Monday morning. Even these hardy souls showed grand final fever is a contagious disease. Only a lucky few snared the meagre 100 tickets available, leaving many disappointed.
I just think they should have organised it better, give it out a bit more tickets, because like Brisbane teams in the comp, so there should be a lot more tickets allocated to the Brisbane Broncos.
Inside, the polite but harassed receptionists were talking gibberish.
Good morning, Brisbane Broncos, Jenny speaking. Would you mind holding the line, please? Good morning, Brisbane Broncos, Jenny speaking. I'm sorry, madam, tickets for the grand final are sold out.
Being outnumbered at the football stadium wasn't going to worry Glenn Lazarus.
You know, a saying that we've had all year is let's not give the crowd anything to cheer about, let's send them home early. And it's worked, you know. I think, you know, we've only lost 2 away games all year, and last Sunday, you know, I just happened to look up into the crowd and there was a lot of Illawarra supporters leaving, and that's a great feeling. And
by Tuesday afternoon, the fans realised they had to lift their intensity. Nearly 3,000 turned up for a well-promoted training session. The crowd, the music, even a big screen created a carnival atmosphere. But for the players, it was business as usual as they went through their paces. It wasn't until later in the week that it started. Unmistakable evidence of Bronco fever spreading fast. Totally normal shops started to go bananas. The butchers got in for their chop. Australia Post offices throughout the city made sure Bronco faxes with messages of encouragement reached the boys. Motorists honked in support of the local heroes. Brisbane hasn't gone over the top, but a well-timed mental preparation has the Bronco fans primed for the big game, and in no doubt their team has the one cure for grand final fever.
I'll romp it in. 20 points.
Well, that was the scene in Brisbane, but Bronco fever has turned into Bronco mania for this busload of fans who did get tickets and have made the trip from Brisbane down to Sydney. How's it feel to be here?
Wonderful, thank you.
I can tell who you think's going to win. How far are they going to win by?
Going to win.
Just straight.
Broncos by 44.
And this is Mrs. Lago. It must be tremendous just to be here to see Alan go out there in a grand final.
Lovely, lovely.
Is he going to perform today up to his usual standards?
Oh, I hope so. I really do.
Has he been nervous this week?
Well, he's not too good at the hotel at the moment.
You must be very proud of him.
I am, very.
Well, it's amazing just how many busloads have made the trip down from Brisbane. And I guess all the attention does centre on first grade, but of course it's a big day for the under-21s and reserve grade as well. Joining our coverage today from ABC Sport in Brisbane is Jerry Collins. Jerry, in the under-21s, it's St George versus West, a clash that brings back great memories of the late 50s and early 60s.
Yes, Warren, Saints had the better of those clashes and they go into the President's Cup Grand Final today again as hot favourites to disappoint the Magpies. Saints won all three clashes between the two sides this year and were the minor premiers. West forwards took the upper hand in the testing early period. They powered their way towards the line and in a display of strength that would have pleased the great Noel Kelly, Stephen Carney crashed across for the first try. And West led by 4 points to 0. And they continue to dominate territory. But a long pass from Josh White out wide was grabbed by St George centre Scott Park. He raced into the open, and as the cover defence arrived, he found Jason Hardy there in support. Hardy raced across towards the sideline and away up to the corner and over for a St George try. Saints had levelled at 4-all. St George went to the lead soon after when Craig Salmon carried the ball close to the line and offloaded to Gordon Tallis, who finished off for an 8-4 lead to the Saints, and a bit of grand final mayhem as both sides exchanged blows and two players ended up in the sin bin for 10 minutes. Saints went further ahead with a penalty goal and led 10-6 at the break, but West came back with a run around by Josh White, a pass to Russell Hill, who sent Evan Cochran in out wide. The Magpies had levelled the scores and the grand final was 10-all. And they went further ahead with a brilliant lead-up play in which Russell Hill handled twice. Michael Grosvenor came into the action and sent Matthew Threlkeld very close to the line. West needed a quick play the ball and a pass out wide. And that pass came, the long cut-out pass, and the opportunities were there for Western Suburbs, and Matt Ryan finished off for the Magpies to lead by 14 points to 10. Saints came back with a good individual effort by Nathan Brown, and the grand final was locked at 14-all. Then Josh White snatched the grand final with a field goal. Western Suburbs, the premiers, by 15 points to 14. Josh, congratulations, a great win. How about that field goal?
Oh, just one of those lucky things. I just put it on the boot and went for it. I just come off the boot the right way and went through the post. We've had a few lately and I just can't strike them. Today was a lucky day, I suppose.
A great second half by West.
It was a great second half. We went in the sheds at half-time and we said, we've got these blokes. They're big blokes. They're going to tire late in the game. We knew we had it in the last 15 minutes. We thought we had it in the last 15 minutes and we knew. We're confident. We went. All the boys knew. We just kept going all day.
Congratulations, great work.
Thanks very much, mate.
Josh White, and a great win to West by 1 point in the grand final. And while the players battle it out, some people get to watch in luxury. And there with a corporate set is Steve Rebilliard. He's got the tough task of checking it out.
Thanks, Jerry. Well, let's take nothing away from the catering at the Sydney Football Stadium. You'd have to walk all the way to Paddington to get a better meat pie or sausage roll. But if your business connections are good enough, you might find yourself dining here at a function organised by, of all people, Australian Rugby Union coach Bob Dwyer. So, Bob, this is your real job?
That's right. This is actually, some people think my real job is coaching the rugby team, and I fill in on odd occasions with this.
I'd have thought the Australian Rugby Union paid you well enough not to have a second job.
Yeah, no, it's a bit of a struggle actually trying to fit in the the increased demands of international rugby with trying to do a job to earn some money. But anyway, it's a matter of priorities, isn't it? We run every major sport and every major cultural event, and we look to our clients to employ us, I guess, to entertain their clients.
Well, Jerry, a bloke's only got about 20 minutes to finish off his coffee and port before kick-off. I better hand back to you. That's not bad.
Yep. Life's tough, Steve. Well, Norths are defending the premiership they won in reserve grade last year, but they're up against a very experienced Balmain side. David Brooks is playing his last game for the Tigers, and he's hoping they can cause an upset in the grand final. North started confidently. David Alexander was stopped just short of the line. Then a good effort by Noel Solomon, ducking under a tackle and scoring. North's off to a good start and leading 4-0. That try was converted, and Balmain kicked a penalty goal before a good backline move by to a good start and leading 4-0. That try was converted, and Balmain kicked a penalty goal before a good backline move by Norths. Paul Conlon throwing a late pass to Kelly Egan, who just made it in the corner, giving Norths a handy 12-2 lead at the break. Things didn't get any better for the Tigers in the second half. Balmain tried using the ball. A kick rebounded off Noel Solomon. He was there to pick up the scraps and raced 50 metres to score his second try and give Norths a strong grip on the premiership, leading by 18 points to 2. Then another error by the Tigers, and Alan Wilson this time was there to pick up the loose ball. He ran across towards the sideline, and the Bears were humiliating the Tigers with the score at 24-2. And there was more to come. Norths were close. They opted for the short side. Craig Wilson steamed onto the ball and crashed over out wide. It was 28-2 in favour of Norths. Balmain were desperate. They had to send it wide, and they did. They kept it alive with some absolute magic. There were spectacular passes. Firstly, Jason Sinclair close to the line, and the flick pass back. Michael Brown gathered, and he had to do exactly the same. James Grant reached high, gathered, and scored. The scoreboard was looking a bit better for the Tigers at 28-8. And more consolation as Balmain got close. Jason Kirkwood stood and offloaded for Grant to score his second try. But it was all too late. Norths had won the grand final 28-14, and captain Gary Smith, a Queenslander, was delighted.
Favourites, and you played like it as well. A terrific win.
Yeah, mate, we knew we'd go into this game with a bit of pressure on us being the favourites, and we knew what we had to do, and we've done it.
Well, you just seem to be confident all the way.
Well, mate, we've only lost 2 games all year, so I think we've got reason to be confident.
Congratulations, a terrific effort.
Thank you, mate, thank you. We'll celebrate tonight for sure.
Good on you. Can the Broncos do it as well?
Oh, easy, mate, by 10, 15.
So the hot favourites, North Sydney, successful in reserve grade. That's the question. Can the hot favourites in first grade, the Brisbane Broncos, do it? We'll know pretty soon as we go back to Warren Bowler.
Thanks, Jerry. Yes, well, Brisbane in some quarters are 4-1 on for this grand final. In a 2-horse race, 4-1 on the Broncos, but everyone's still wondering, can St George do it? And what a great Sydney club to have that task in front of them. Well, Arthur, how do you feel about it? Can the Dragons stage an upset?
Well, I suppose if they don't starve Brisbane to possession, they might as well give up now, but they certainly have a great kicking game, St George. I think they'll rely on the kicking game, the chase team. There's a general consensus opinion that St George should find the line, try and disrupt the continuity of this Brisbane side, but I would think they'll just try for field position, play a waiting game, hope that they can keep Brisbane down on their line and maybe come up with some early mistakes and get some early points on the board, because they've had a Melbourne Cup preparation, St George, and if it goes down to the wire, I think St George could get away with it.
Well, St George, as you say, have had to play every week. Brisbane have only played 1 game in 4. Do you think that it would be a question of fitness for Brisbane, or maybe just a little rustiness?
Well, I think it'll be more rustiness, even though I don't think it'll be the physical side of it. Maybe it could be the mental side of it.
Well, the Brisbane Broncos were the minor premiers, losing only 4 games all season. With the best attacking record in the competition and the 5th best defence, they marched straight through to the grand final. They've played only that 1 game in 4 weeks, but of course are hot favourites for the title. Let's have a look at Brisbane's starting lineup.
At fullback is Julian O'Neill. The 19-year-old student is learning quickly. The former Australian schoolboy is very fast, can step and returns kicks well. He flies for bombs, but will be tested by high kicks. On the left wing is Michael Hancock. The Australian winger is a tough opponent. He runs with powerful leg drive and unpredictable changes of direction. Is a fast finisher and determined runner from dummy half. Attacking game, and in a tremendous season, the Queensland Origin rep has shown he's a capable ball player. In the engine room, front rower Gavin Allen. He hits the ball up hard and almost always manages to unload in the tackle. The former St George lower grader pressed for Australian selection this season. Kerrod Walters is the hooker. Back to his best, the former Australian rake has a World Cup final berth in his sights. Darting out of dummy half, he either splits the defence or makes good ground before unloading. Completing the front row, Glenn Lazarus. Another Canberra Raider grand final winner, the 110-kilogram Australian prop is the rock of the pack. Always going forward, he drags in defenders but can still slip a pass, and in defence, he's hard to get past.
So there it is, the brilliant Brisbane lineup, sparkling in the back line in particular, that brilliant speed, ball movement. They love to unload and move it around, and they will be a handful. And don't forget the reserves either. Andrew G, Mark Hone and Tony Curry, amongst others. Those players could play a big part in this game. But it is a very powerful lineup, and don't underestimate the forwards of Brisbane either. Very powerful up front with Glenn Lazarus and Gavin Allen. Plenty of mobility at the back, always ready to back up. Alan Cann, one of the two players who haven't played State of Origin football for Brisbane, along with Julian O'Neill. But Alan Cann, he does a lot of the hard yakka for the Broncos. But really, it's that back line that is the terror, I would think, for St George today. Well, St George finished second in the race for the minor premiership. They started the final series with a lacklustre loss to Illawarra, but then bounced back with gritty, low-scoring wins over Newcastle and then Illawarra to make the grand final. This is the St George starting 13.
At fullback is Michael Potter. Dally M Player of the Year in 1984 and 91. He represented New South Wales in 84 and won grand finals with Canterbury in 84 and 85. Always well positioned, he has the safest hands under bombs and grubbers, is a fine returner of kicks and a superb last line defender. On the left wing is Ian Heron. A St George junior and former Australian schoolboy, he returned from Newcastle this season. His accurate goal kicking has been below average in the finals, but his all-round ability has stood the test. In the centre is Mark Coyne. The Queensland Origin rep of 90 and 92 has the sharp acceleration to beat his opponent on the outside. A hard-working chaser in defence with a very competitive attitude. Alongside him is the respected leader, Michael Beattie. In his 13th year with the Dragons, Beattie played in St George's last grand final, the loss to Canterbury in 1985. An intimidating ball-and-all tackler who runs hard and straight for the holes. On the right wing is Ricky Walford. In his 11th year in grade 8 with St George, he represented New South Wales 2 years ago. An excellent finisher with plenty of pace and good positional sense in both attack and defence. At 5'8", there's Peter Coyne. Now 27, he played his first Sydney football last year, but has quickly become a key player. His kicks are deep, his bombs and field goals accurate, and his passes well-timed, whether linking wide, turning it inside or working runarounds. The halfback is Noel Goldthorpe. A reserve grader with West last year, in 92, he's proven himself one of the best halves around. He's nippy, works the plays around the ruck deftly, kicks well, and makes plenty of vital tackles. At lock forward is Jeff Hardy. With several seasons in England behind him, this solidly built non-stop worker is a robust runner, never far from the ball and able to unload, always high in the tackle counts. In the second row is Scott Goulet. Tall, strong and fast, this dual international is a powerful wide runner, able to slip away a one-handed pass. He's been toiling hard in defence lately, but not breaking the line as often. His second row partner is David Barnhill. The 22-year-old PE teacher played in last year's grand final loss with Canberra. An all-round talent, he's an effective tackler, a mobile runner and is a fine handler of the ball. Up front is Neil Tierney. One of 3 Queenslanders in the St George side, Tierney weighs in at 110 kilograms, the same weight as Glenn Lazarus. That bulk, together with surging speed and ball skills, make him a handful. The hooker is Wayne Collins. A New South Wales country rep, Collins played in the reserve grade grand final with Canberra 2 years ago behind Steve Walters. A neat dummy half, his passing and direction are reliable and he can kick or scoot for easy yards. A busy marker, he'll chase for charge downs. The other prop is Tony Priddle. At 193 centimetres, 107 kilograms and not slow on his feet, the 22-year-old sports science uni student has the height and reach to hit the edge of the ruck, reach over and slip one-handed passes away.
It really is a great team, this St George lineup. We've got first versus second in the minor premiership race on display today. A very powerful, big front row for St George. Tierney, Priddle there in the front row, Goulet in the second row, and the kicking game of Peter Coyne. It really could hold the key, as Arthur suggested. A magnificent sight as we look down on the stadium. 42,000, a full house. Before the game, you saw lots of Bronco jerseys walking in among the supporters. Johnny Peard, what's the crowd feel like? Are they behind St George?
Well, electric atmosphere. I think the majority behind St George, Warren, but for this game of the year, should be sensational. The atmosphere is wonderful, and it's a day that all players just love to be there.
Well, there's a Bronco supporter. We just seem to have lost John for the moment. But, yeah, I was saying before the game I thought we'd just see red and white, but there was plenty of maroon and gold amongst the supporters walking in, surprisingly, and they are here in numbers, the Brisbane supporters, but I think once the crowd starts to cheer, Arthur, we will hear plenty of Dragon cheers.
There's no doubt about that, but I thought it was a one-sided editorial before when you showed that there were plenty of Dragon supporters there. Don't worry, there's plenty of Broncos supporters here.
All right, let's go down to Steve Rebillard. I believe he is with Michael Beattie's wife.
Yes, Warren, I'm down in Dragon territory, and amongst the St George fans, Cassie Beattie. Cassie, I guess you're as nervous as Michael.
I think I'm more nervous. It's harder here in the stand than on the field, I think, at times.
What's he been like this week?
Very busy. He's hardly ever been home. The media's been ringing, and he's had heaps of photos taken and things everywhere. Yeah.
Does he talk to you much about the game?
No, I overhear his telephone conversations.
Good luck today.
Thanks very much.
And congratulations to the way both teams have handled the media. The Brisbane Broncos led out by Alan Langer, and look at the intensity on his face. A very relaxed character, usually Alan Langer, but he knows this is a grand final. Not many players have the honour of playing in a grand final. 26 players about to take the field, the Broncos out there, and Langer. Many people believe he is the key to Brisbane's chances. The St George Dragons about to take the field. We'll listen to the roar of the crowd, holding the hopes of Sydney. Michael Beattie, 31 years of age. This might be his. There's Tony Priddle, only 22 years of age, in the front row. Neil Tierney there has never played in a grand final. Coming down from Brisbane, from Wynnum Manly and Rockhampton. He played a season there to join St George. He's never been in a grand final. These two teams have met 6 times since the Broncos came into the competition in 1988, for 3 wins each and only 2 points in it when they met in Adelaide this season. Brisbane winning 2018. And the crowd on their feet for the national anthem, to be sung by Jodie Gillies, a star of Les Miserables, and she'll star in Andrew Lloyd Webber's Aspects of Love. What a voice. What a voice from Jodie Gillies. And that was stirring. The crowd didn't need to be worked up anymore, but that anthem really had everyone reaching for the heavens. Scott Goulay, a dual international. He's played rugby union for Australia. He's played rugby league for Australia on the tour of Papua New Guinea. Mark Coyne, 5 years with the Broncos. He's played State of Origin football for Queensland. I wonder if State of Origin atmosphere will match grand final atmosphere. Has refereed 10 test matches, but this is his first grand final. He's beaten Bill Harrigan and Graham Annesley for the honour. There's been pressure on the referee in the lead up to the match. They'll need to have a very calm, composed attitude. The St George fans, the Bronco fans. Really is a great atmosphere, Arthur. We know it is grand final day.
It's certainly a great atmosphere here, and certainly, as you said, pressure on Mr McCallum today, and I hope he keeps them apart today.
Everything in readiness. St George defending the southern end of the ground. The Broncos to kick off. St George winning the toss, electing to run from the Randwick end. Play underway in the 1992 grand final And Neil Tierney steams back up to the 22, where he's met by Madison and Renoff first up to him. Ricky Walford from dummy half. Johnny Peard, how are the conditions?
Good conditions, Warren. No wind, really. St George won the toss and they've run into what I consider a very, very light wind. But this is an interesting game because coaches, all they can ask for is a capacity effort. And I think if everyone plays up to their capacity, there's an early error. I think the Broncos will win it.
The first mistake made by Tony Priddle, who may have had a little peek as he was coming forward, but Kerrod Walters also knocked it on.
It looked as though, I don't know whether that was a knock-on, because the ball went off Kerrod Walters there, so an early chance here for Alfie Lang and the Broncos.
Kevin Walters runs into the arms of Mark Coyne, who makes the tackle. They're only 25 metres out. The Broncos with the start they were looking for. Alan Cann takes it forward, just inside the quarter now. The Broncos wanting a much more positive start than they had in the major semi against Illawarra, where they made repeated mistakes. They're only 15 out. Allen plays it back. Now Lazarus leading with his left shoulder, trying to bump them out of his road, but Tierney hangs on. 10 metres out. Kevin Walters. The long ball for Renoff. Renoff has dazzling feet. He's out of tackle. He beat Coyne. Got a pass back. It's been lost. The ball went forward. The last pass put down on the ground by Chris Johns.
Yes, an early chance to the Broncos, and it just shows how dangerous Steve Renoff. They shifted the ball wide, and we see Chris Johns, that ball knocked down by the St George defender.
Kerrod Walters appealing for a try. And I suppose in one sense, if the ball was stolen, he was entitled to claim a try.
Some referees would have said 6 more.
For a knockdown rather than a lost ball. St George in possession.
Great long ball from Kevin Walters. That could be a problem for the Saints' defence.
And how did Steve Renoff beat that tackle, John?
Yeah, well, with ease. He's got good feet. There's St George stringing a few passes together.
Already we see the big frame of Neil Tierney causing a few problems for the Bronco defence.
Here's Priddle in centre field, trying to work towards the edge of the ruck.
Yeah, I think all their forwards are well over 100 kilos, or not well over, but they're in the program as 100 kilos, Arthur, except for Wayne Collins, where there's only one Bronco goes over 100. That's Lazarus. That's a big advantage.
Certainly is, John.
Ball bouncing around for Julian O'Neill. Mark Coyne there with a better tackle this time. He made sure O'Neill hit the ground. Langer there to go to dummy half. Willie Kahn from the wing. Collins gets him low. In fact, there's the St George front row, all making the tackle, all 3 of them there.
And it was interesting to note with that first kick, John, that St George elected to go down centre field rather than towards the sideline.
Yeah, they probably prefer to tackle Julian O'Neill other than the other wingers. They're very elusive.
Kerrod Walters steals a couple of metres up the middle.
He's as good as any front rower, Arthur. He just pinches 8 and 10 all the time, doesn't he?
Now it's Langer kicking out a dummy half, and it's a good kick. No, Potter there. Look as if it was going to pierce the winger and fullback, but Potter, he is always there.
Once again, the beautifully positioned Michael Potter. He takes that ball in the full, and he gets the easy yards back.
Mick Potter playing for a World Cup fullback spot, and I, for one, hope that he can earn it in this game. Here's Ricky Walford out of dummy half, just a couple of metres gain. Scott Goulet, one off the ruck. He beat Langer, but not Gilmister. 10 short of halfway, Wayne Collins, 1 out, taken by Kevin Walters. It's the 5th tackle. Peter Coyne. His boot is so powerful. He places this one, though. Just kicking down to O'Neill, who does look just a little shaky. Runs it back strongly, though. Good run. Once he got the ball in his hands, there was plenty of confidence.
Yeah, beautiful return of the football of Julian O'Neill. On that occasion there, they came down staggered, the St George chasing team.
Gilmister was stopped quickly. Now Willie Kahn escapes the tackle of Goulet, but not Collins. 10 short of halfway. Langer running it. Dummies, he gets past Barnhill. Coming across there was Hardy and Goldthorpe in cover. Langer will be a constant threat. Now Walters takes them on himself. 10 inside for the St George half, 5th tackle. Kerrod Walters, Langer. Pops the kick in behind Ricky Walford. He gets to it on the bounce, close to his own goal line and surrounded by Renoff and Alan Cann.
Already, John, a little bit of hesitation showing in the St George defence.
Yeah, a couple of slip tackles there, not good, especially from dummy half. Kahn got out of dummy half and evaded one, and then Alfie slipped through 1 out. So It's time they got to shore up, St George. A little bit more compressed around the marker area and around the inside ruck.
Mark Coyne dancing away from a couple of tackles, but they hold him. Collins, Goldthorpe, cuts out one for Barnhill. A little bit of room for Goulet. Johns is up on him. He slips the pass away. St George keen to offload. That time it was Riddle backing up. Fifth tackle. They swing it to Coyne. Running it. It's the last. Out it goes. Beattie quickly onto Walford. He'll need to kick and gets it away well. That's fine play by Ricky Walford. St George running it, but then getting into trouble, and Walford with another 30-metre kick.
Yes, some very good hands shown here by Michael Beattie, and secondly, Ricky Walford, who also had the awareness that it was the last tackle and picked up 30 metres the easy way.
It's not a bad option either, because they did have time on their hands. Each player that handled the ball had a bit of daylight between him and the Broncos' defence. That was a good option.
Langer puts it in, and it's gone to St George against the head. Against the feet and head. Potter, Peter Coyne, inside to Beattie. So this is a great opportunity for St George. They're only 20 metres out. Mark Coyne goes across field. He can get outside them here. Goulet to Hardy. Walford outside. Across comes the cover. Sliding for the line. Touch judge has his flag in the air. Well, it looked as if Ricky Walford beat Michael Hancock, but they swept across just in time.
Certainly a great effort. The ball, there's Coyne giving the ball. And then Goulet there giving the ball to Hardy. Hardy out to Ricky Walford. He slides under the tackle of Hancock. Gee, this is awfully close, isn't it? But a great covering tackle.
And it looked as if his knee just touched the white line. He ducked under Michael Hancock.
Good stuff by the Saints. They just hit a ball in from the scrum and returned it. And when you've got Goulet and Hardy, they're like extra centres. They're very good with the ball in their hands. Gave Ricky Walford a good opportunity then.
And that was a surprising situation. Alfie Langer must have put the ball into the scrum.
It wouldn't surprise if that was the kind of game it is, where a scrum feed lost can make all the difference. Now the Broncos settling it down. 8 short of halfway. Langer. He's doing all the kicking. He was under pressure from Collins. Straight to Walford. It's one area of the Broncos game that isn't strong. It's their deep kicking, but they don't have to rely on it very often. They're quite prepared to run it as often as not. Potter.
We have Mark Coyne down and back play.
That's a good tackle by Can. Hardy, who did some good work in the lead up to that near try.
Already we see a few errors made by St George there, and the most missed tackles, which would certainly be worrying Smith.
Now Tierney, bit of room to move. Hardy needed support. Where were they? Priddle was too late backing him up. That was quick, sharp passing by St George. They created an opportunity. Collins, stab kicks in between O'Neill and Khan. Heron is coming through. Willie Khan's got it. He can skirt them here. He's very fast, Willie Khan. He goes to the outside, beats Beattie. Ricky Walford there, though, for the tackle. What speed Khan has got.
Certainly great speed there, but he took that to the left-handed touchline. It's up to Hancock now to bring it back into the middle of the field.
Kerrod Walters took Gavin Allen put it down, but the pass was out in front of him. Away it comes with the Dragons. Mark Coyne gets on the outside, slips it to Heron, it's on the ground, and the
great work by Trevor Gilmeister. He just jumped on that loose ball.
Yeah, Heron was a bit hesitant too. He should have made his move a little earlier.
That drop ball won't do Gavin Allen's confidence much good, even though I don't believe it was his fault, but he was a man who was under pressure coming into this game.
You're not wrong. It was a very ordinary pass by the same taken from Walters from the...
Exactly.
You see Kerrod Walters jump out from the dummy half position, but the markers ruled offside.
First penalty of the match against the Dragons. We've had 9 minutes of play, no points on the board. And there it is, that pass way out in front of Gavin Allen from Kerrod Walters at dummy half.
Pass looked as though it was meant for Alfie Langer.
It was certainly low. So now the Broncos inside St George's territory by 10 metres with Gavin Allen hitting it up. Collins goes low, takes his legs out from under him. Madison hits it up and strives for a couple of extra metres. They're only 26 metres out now, the Broncos in centre field. Kerrod Walters, Gilmister takes it over the quarter. All the Brisbane players on the right-hand side of the field. Here they come with Kevin Walters dummying. John's taken out by Hardy off the ball, but he's okay. Referee saw it. Allows play to go on. Last tackle, Langer runs it. Inside is Allen. Allen looks over the top and Langer is there! Langer scored! Brilliant football by Gavin Allen. Started by Alan Langer, running it on the last. The referee signalling that it came off a St George player's head by the look of it. But Langer started it. The salute used to be reserved for Wally Lewis. Langer ran it, turned it inside to Gavin Allen. He went over the top and Langer had backed up. Langer beating Dave Barnhill. Inside was Gavin Allen hunting up. Magnificent pass which deflected off St George and Langer had it.
Yeah, you just can't lay off little Alfie. He goes on, takes the forwards on bar, turns the ball back inside. But I think this ball was going forward. I know that it deflected off the head, but I definitely think that ball was travelling in a forward motion.
Well, it's pretty hard to tell from here, but Alan Langer, the 26-year-old Australian halfback, runner-up in last year's Rothmans medal, winner of this year's Rothmans medal. So Terry Madison to attempt this conversion right in front. It was interesting that only Gavin Allen was backing up Langer, but he managed to find him with a bit of luck. Madison with a 69% goal-kicking average. They don't come much easier than this. Grand final nerves play their part. But Madison is cool, calm, and the Broncos lead 6 points to 0 after 11 minutes.
Well, Alan Langer, he just tortures teams. Look, he shapes the kick here, steps off his favoured foot, the left. Allen was there, just a bit of a speculator, but Alfie Langer was good enough to back up. What a great start for the Broncos.
So Peter Coyne brings it back to halfway. Langer the try scorer. And Coyne puts it deep. Langer beating Dave Barnhill with the left foot sidestep for the second time in the match in the lead up to that try. Here's Renoff with the ball.
Yeah, Turney failed to close the hole up at the inside also.
Before the game, this match was painted as a battle between the attack of Brisbane and the defence of St George. Brisbane averaging 23 points a game in attack throughout this season. But St George, right through the year, were a fine attacking outfit as well. They averaged 17 points. It's their defence in the finals that's been impressive. Here's O'Neill beating a tackle, and O'Neill is away. Coming through to Potter. Looks for support. He beats Potter. But the cover picked him up.
Yeah, tremendous tackle by Barnhill. He was locked out by a Broncos attacker there, but he did well to recover.
Beattie slowing the play the ball down. Now Langer finds Gilmister. Back to Langer. Down just short of the quarter line. On the fifth tackle. St George short on the far side. Kevin Walters puts the kick in behind Walford. Will it go too far? It does. For a minute it looked as if it was well weighted.
Yeah, tremendous run and bar down that left-hand flank by Julian O'Neill. It's really bursting St George's defence at the seams.
What about his footwork, Arthur? He beat Potter.
Here it is, Julian O'Neill. Was it Michael Beattie? He stepped outside and then he has tremendous speed. This young man, 19 years of age.
There's David Barnhill coming across and Michael Beattie coming in with a high shot over the top.
Bit of frustration after he missed the initial tackle.
And you see there, St George has certainly had to do a lot of defence. We said before, you just can't give Brisbane possession time.
Good hit by Gilmeister then. He's in form.
Peter Coyne with a long driving punt kick. Sends O'Neill back. That's a fine kick. If St George are to win this game, Peter Coyne's kicking will have to dominate. There's been plenty of talk during the week as O'Neill throws it out to Khan. Gives his winger a chance. That shows the Broncos' intentions. They're going to play the attacking game, take a couple of chances. Chris Johns now. But in the lead up to the game, the question was, would St George stick to their usual tactics of putting the kicks downfield, playing pretty much a percentage game, or would they try and take Brisbane on at their own attacking game? Here's Brisbane moving the ball around. The Walters bothers together. That pass looked forward, intended for Hancock.
Yes, there's no doubt about it. It's some tremendous play, short interchanging passes, changing the point of attack. We see Walters, Kurt Walters back up, but that pass was about 3 metres forward, and I'm surprised that referee Greg McCallum didn't pick that up.
Yes, he's taken the easy option and gone for the scrum, but St George will have the feed.
Could have passed a little early to Kerrod Walters. If you go on to Potter, he might have found a runner.
Oh, Renoff shows that he can tackle. There's been a question over his defence. He dumped Beattie there. Now Potter.
When you're talking about
Gilmister hits him.
Another great tackle by Gilmister, but when you're talking about Renouf's defence, it's not his head-on defence or his defence in general, it's his reading of defence that has the question mark on it.
Now Priddle winds up to the blind side. Allen swings over the top with a loose arm. Goldthorpe moves it wide to Coyne. Goulet going straight. It's a tackle of Langer and gets away to Beattie. Great pass on to Coyne. Sits it wide to Walford. Walford for the corner, chased by O'Neill. He scores. Great St George try. Really was brilliant football from back up near halfway. All started when Scott Goulet made a half bust and slipped the pass away. And then Michael Beattie appeared from nowhere. Coyne backed him up. This was great football. The long pass to Peter Coyne. He had Goulet steaming ahead. He shrugged off Langer there, got his arms free. What a pass to Michael Beattie. And Peter Coyne there backing up. Quickly got rid of it. Beautiful pass. That was great judgment. Ricky Walford for the corner. Julian O'Neill couldn't stop him.
Yes, certainly a beautiful pass. You see some great ball skills. What about the ball skills of Goulet here? As he shrugs off the tackle of little Alfie Langer. He's missed a couple. He flips a good pass to Beattie short. You see Coyne was in the movement twice. And here's a great pass out to Ricky Walford, who beats Julian O'Neill for pace as he puts it down in the right-hand corner.
Great St George tried to hit back, and Ricky Walford, who's played with Norths and East before joining Saints in 1985. In fact, in 85, he played in the reserve grade grand final, while the first grade team were going around with Mick Beattie in that first grade team and Chris Johns for St George that day in first grade in the grand final. Now, Ian Heron with a very difficult attempt at conversion. He had a shot from a similar position last week and shaved the upright. He's a very deliberate kicker. A St George junior who played for Newcastle last year, came back to the Dragons this season. He's had a 76% goal-kicking success rate through the year, but in the finals he's been off target and that's slipped back to 70%. He hits it pretty well, but pushes it across the face of the posts, swinging it around. So Brisbane leads St George 6 points to 4 after 18 minutes.
Nice way to hit back, some quality football from the Saints, and this is where Goulet's causing problems. There he is sitting, 3 off the ruck. Very good offload here. Flicks it up to Mike Beattie. Then the Coyne brothers are really cashing in. Flick it over to Ricky Walford. He's in. That's a great hit back by the Saints.
Ricky Walford almost losing that ball as he got it down in the rush to get over the line as O'Neill was pursuing him. So only 2 points in it. And St George hitting back well after they'd been backpedaling.
Will certainly be a great boost to their confidence.
As Tierney tears into the centre of the ruck.
Yeah, they didn't work overs, but that bit by Goulet was the killer for the Broncos. Three defenders he pulled in and still slipped the ball.
Now Priddle throws a bad pass and it's intercepted by Chris Johns. It went straight into Johns' breadbasket.
Yeah, it wasn't the place to unload, and you don't like to give the Broncos possession inside your own half.
It has to be said there's been signs of nerves from Tony Priddle. He dropped the first ball that came to him. That unload wasn't on. Oh, great unload there to Walters. From Gavin Allen it was who started that. Now it's Can to play the ball on the St George 22. Kevin Walters. Kevin Walters was one of the tacklers who tried to stop Scott Goulet in the lead up to the St George try. Now it's Gilmister on the inside of Langer. They're only 15 metres out. It's the 5th tackle. Langer on the left. Straightens it up. Running. Now he kicks straight into the back of Goulet. It's on the ground. And St George have got it. Well, I would have thought that they were offside.
Well, they had to be in an offside position because that ball came off Goulet, I thought.
Came back from Goulet to Tierney, surely. Let's have a look at it. Langer going into traffic, came off Goulet. Maybe it touched Langer on the way back.
It's a convenient rule.
So Collins, midway between his own quarter and halfway, Barnhill could have unloaded, but no one was on the right side of him. Looking to unload at least, which is a good sign. Goldthorpe hooks the kick to Willie Kahn, who takes it athletically and gives himself that extra 5 or 10 metres to wind up before the chasers get down. Beattie tries to hit him and misses. And Kahn steals another 5 metres. maybe Michael Beattie's enthusiasm is just outweighing his execution at the moment.
Well, on that occasion, he just certainly went for the big hit. But you're up against a player who's a great, perfectly balanced runner, as we see another perfectly balanced runner take them on from the dummy half, Michael Hancock.
No one can make them miss like Hancock.
And the penalty goes to the Broncos. St George holding him down. Hancock fighting to play the ball. He is the bucking Bronco in tackles, and they were all over the top of him.
And a couple of headshots creeping into the game by St George, with Wayne Collins coming in over the top.
Second penalty of the match going to Brisbane. Walters takes the tap, and Allen takes it to the quarter line and over it. Surging forward.
That was pretty easy yards, John.
That was a good run by Gavin Allen.
Now it's Lazarus' turn.
There's the other tank.
They're 15 out. Kieran Walters with Langer. Gets his pass away. Kevin Walters. Chris Johns comes from deep. Langer must be worrying the life out of the St George forwards. He's stepping left, right, going straight through them. Can. Standing.
Yeah, they're causing some strife, John, out there. They're all standing up in tackles, looking for the offload.
Yeah, he's only a little fella, Cam, but he stood up. He's only about 5'8", but Saints a let off for them here. They've got a cheap ball off the Broncos.
There was Gilnister going without it, and did you see Noel Goldthorpe pick the ball up and then covered up?
Yeah, a few mistakes creeping into both sides. Grand final nerves getting both sides, and we see Kieran Walters just grabbing hold of the ankle of Mark Coyne as he tries to get up and play that ball quickly.
Penalty against Walters, and St George will be pleased to take this penalty. Nick Beattie will look for touch. And hits it solidly, finds touch. Willie Kahn with blood coming from the nose, just a trickle. And Tony Priddle from the tap. Big, tall man. The Bronco fans roaring.
There's a double for Gilmeister. Make him the Minister of Defence. Stick him up at Cape York, and no one had come near the country.
Though it's Kerrod Walters leading the defence for Brisbane at this stage with 13 tackles. Gilmeister not far behind. Just short of halfway now, the Dragons. What a great grand final this promises to be. First versus second. The great Sydney club, St George, versus the great Brisbane club, the Broncos. And Potter up the middle.
Yeah, good offloads, Warren. A couple there.
Out it comes to Goldthorpe. He goes high. Julian O'Neill, here it comes. And here comes St George. It's Beattie. And O'Neill hangs on it. Beattie takes out the upright. And O'Neill held onto it. That was pressure. O'Neill is OK. Beattie's OK. I don't know about the goalposts.
He's ruled that he's knocked on. It's a 5-metre scrum. No, he hasn't knocked on. He's taken him back into the play. Oh, the knock on there. He has copped it up.
Well, I thought O'Neill did well just to take that. I suppose he should have left the ground. Here's Goldthorpe. That was a great bomb from Goldthorpe. St George only metres out. Neil Tierney.
There's a ball here back to the Broncos as Tierney tried to... Well, I'm surprised he gave the ball back to him.
Collins. Tierney plays it forward. It's still on the ground. Collins dives on it. Referee says it was knocked on. Must have been knocked on by Collins.
Well, St George would be disappointed. That was selfish by Neil Tierney. I know that he tried to get that ball behind the line. There wasn't a sweeper in behind the line, but Alfie Lang has won this ball.
Yeah, second ruck. Brian Smith would be disappointed in that. You don't get too many up your sleeve that close to the line against the Broncos. And here's Mark Hone getting ready to go, and I'd probably say for Gavin Allen.
There's Chris Johns, driven back a metre or two by Barnhill and Hardy.
A little bit surprising he never brought Andrew G on, John.
Yeah, well, they've got two first-class replacements, haven't they, Hone and G? It doesn't really matter, I guess, but Hone's had plenty of match fitness.
And Goulet intercepts the pass of Gavin Allen. Allen is trying to slip it away. So both teams making mistakes, trying a little too hard. St George only 15 metres out with another chance. It's Goldthorpe. And a great tackle by Gavin Allen, making up for his mistake. Peter Coyne switches the direction. Mark Coyne inside him. Beattie. Quick hands from St George. Back to Peter Coyne. They were coming up on the outside. The defence was there. He went himself. 10 metres out as Can stops him. Collins goes to the right. Tierney. Hardy's got numbers to Ricky Walford. Hancock there. Walford flicks it out the back to Potter. Great pass. slips another ball, but Tierney can't hang on to it. Magnificent passing in there, even if it didn't finally go to hand.
Isn't it strange, John? You often, when you're playing a side like the Broncos, you fall in the trap of playing similar type football. It's almost Harlem Globetrotting stuff.
Yeah, it's contagious, but good hands from both sides. Certainly an exciting grand final.
But Neil Tierney's in trouble. Here it is. He gets hurt here. He was hit after he lost the ball. Gavin Allen putting the shoulder into his chest. I guess it was a legitimate tackle. Allen would have been committed to hitting Tierney that close to the line. Here's Mark Hone on the field. And the player who's off is Gavin Allen. Penalty to Brisbane.
This is the second penalty against Mark Coyne. Mark Coyne once again infringing in the play the ball area.
That's the area, Arthur. There's been no penalties for offside. But in this area, and he quite rightly so, should have been pinged, and he held the ball into the...
And Brad Mackay's on the field for St George, so both coaches making changes. Gavin Allen leaving the field for Brisbane after 25 minutes. And Brad Mackay, the Australian representative, what a super sub to have on your bench. He'll be very keen. He's been very disappointed not to be in the starting 13, Brad Mackay. Terry Madison for Brisbane. 25 metres out. The Brisbane have been in this position plenty of times. Langer. Kevin Walters loses it. Potter's got it.
Yeah, mistake by Walters. He had the ball out, but I wasn't surprised at that. But that was a forward pass from Walters, from Langer back to Walters. And as he passed, he was hit over the top by Priddle, which forced the ball to come backwards.
Here's Priddle now playing safety first football. Goulet. Langer going around his chest.
There's the hitmen for both sides. Kieran Walters and Gavin Allen leading the way for Brisbane. And on the other side, David Barnell and Goulet well up there.
Now it's Mackay. He runs into Gilmister. That's a recipe for pain. Neil Tierney is the St George player who's left the field. Peter Coyne with the kick. Deep. Behind Khan. Willie Khan's got it. They surround him, and Hardy there with a good tackle. Jeff Hardy has been in fine form through the final series. He's been with Brian Smith since his school days at James Cook High. Now Michael Hancock. Neil Tierney took that blow to the chest, but I think he's okay. Mark Hone, a regular in the Broncos lineup throughout the season until suffering a bad gash in his leg in the last couple of rounds. Can, just short of halfway. 6 points to 4 in favour of Brisbane. 12 till half-time. Langer. Barnhill got him this time. He went on the outside and Dave Barnhill went with him. Madison. Johns. Kevin Walters. A Brisbane player has been decked off the ball. He's out flat on his back. Here's Ian Heron going back for the ball. Now the touch judge is in from the far side. Heron comes forward. The touch judge. Touch judge. Yes, it's Terry Madison. Touch judge was playing advantage, I think. Terry Madison is the man down. He was taken down off the ball. 2 tackles back, and he looks very wobbly.
Beattie took out a player just before that also. He took out one of the Bronco players.
And Michael Beattie is being called over. Well, Beattie has been fierce from the outset of this match. But even in the earlier semi-final, Michael Beattie has gone in high a little too often. Referee Greg McCallum has sent 4 Brisbane players off in his time refereeing their games. Mind you, the Broncos have won their last 7 under McCallum.
And that's the second time they've sent a 6.
Here it is. Madison has the ball. Beattie comes in here, and that is a very high and a very late tackle.
And I would say be very lucky, because the previous ruck to that he took out Julian O'Neill without the ball.
Well, as much respect as there is for Michael Beattie, I think it's time he dead set woke up to himself, because he's been sailing close to the wind in this semi-final series, and you cannot go around taking blokes' heads off. So Beattie ought to wake up to himself. Brisbane, 20 metres out, with Allen or Lazarus steaming ahead. Kerrod Walters to Mark Hone.
A little bit surprised Greg McCallum telling them to get off. He's got to penalise them. They don't get off.
Kerrod Walters to Gilmister, hitting it up. St George with a compressed defence. Plenty of space on the wings for Brisbane if they go there. Alan Can hits it up, but there was really not much happening there for him. St George's defence trying to close the gaps. Kieran Walters only 2 away over the top.
It's a lot of latitude in that play the ball area.
Well, before the game, that was hung onto that beautifully. It was behind him. He pulled it in. Peter Coyne trying to put doubt into the minds of the defence, but Gilmester didn't muck around. He went straight in on him. Collins straightens it up. Hardy was backing up, wrapping around him. It's the 5th tackle. Will heel across. Ball on the ground. It's the last tackle, and it'll be a handover.
Yeah, very definite chance. Alfie Langer got up very quickly on Coyne, and he forced him to run that ball.
Nice recovery by the Broncos, but they showed their speed there.
Brisbane with 7 internationals in the side. St George with just 2.
Once again, a very high tackle by Michael Beattie.
Chris Johns. Well, let's hope any player out there doesn't get himself sent off, because no one wants to see a grand final decided that way. Kieran Walters, least of all Greg McCallum. 5th tackle, just short of halfway. Clumsy play the ball, but Madison's got it. Rolling kick, and Potter gets down low. Runs away from Chris Johns, but he hangs onto a jersey. Chris Johns is just as determined a competitor as Michael Potter is. Now Heron will hang on to the ball tightly this time.
We've seen the difference in probably time and possession. St George have had to do a lot more tackling than Brisbane.
John, a very even contest. Do you feel either side is on top?
I think Brisbane have had more chances to score, Warren. I think they're down there, they're more dangerous. But Saints using the ball a little wider and getting those offloads, a real handful for the Broncos defence. She's wide open at the moment.
As Goldthorpe ducked under a Kieran Walters highish tackle. Now the chip kick, and beautifully taken by Hancock. Read it beautifully, had the pace to get there on the full. Peter Coyne was racing through. Now Khan comes in, the wide pass to the first receiver. Can, he's a no-frills footballer, but he's wholehearted. He's met by Brad Mackay and Jeff Hardy, the 2 men who've been vying for the lock-forward position. Madison, good pass to Hone. Riddle's up on him. Collins comes in late to slow it down. Bit of a beanbag that time. Langer. Kevin Walters can't get away from Peter Coyne. Gets it to Lazarus. Renoff. Priddle tried to make the tackle. Madison. Kieran Walters tackle from behind. Great defence, St George. That was a good tackle by Priddle. He came again. He got up off the ground and went a second time. Langer. He runs away, Julian O'Neill. Made one great break when he burst away earlier. Now it's Hancock. That was a nothing pass. Julian O'Neill said, "Here, Michael, make something of this," and he nearly does. He loses it. But luckily, Kevin Walters was there to dive on it, just in case anything went wrong.
Yeah, very fortunate for the Broncos there. Kevin Walters was there as the wicket keeper as that ball popped backwards.
6 points to 4 in favour of the Broncos. 2.5 minutes till half-time.
Once again, Kieran Walters scoots and dummy half.
And Lazarus bursts up the centre of the field, still going. Potter gets an ankle, pulls the big man to ground. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Langer running it, and he cuts straight through. Looks on the inside. Virtually, it's a 5th tackle. They're slowing it down. Beattie screaming, "Get out there and cover me." Langer puts the bomb up. Potter near his post. Cat and mouse with Mark Coyne, who finally makes the tackle. And an enthralling first half. Dogged determination by both teams. Prepared to move the ball, but making the occasional mistake. 1 try apiece. And Brisbane leading by 6 points to 4 at half-time in the 1992 grand final. The coach's instructions will be listened to with very keen ears, because they need to find a way through the opposition defence.
So, on ABC Sport, the Brisbane Broncos lead after the first 40 minutes of the grand final here at the Sydney Football Stadium. Can they take their first ever title? Stay tuned as the drama unfolds on ABC Sport, your national network.
Well, a great first half of football, real grand final football. A couple of mistakes there, but under this kind of pressure, well, that's not a surprise, and particularly the defence, Arthur, scrambling defence by both teams.
Yeah, scrambling defence, especially by St George. I thought the Broncos probably had the best of that first half, but I think that St George have been giving a little bit of latitude, especially in the play the balls. They're slowing the play the balls down, allowing their defence to recover, and I think that come the second half, Greg McCallum has to be a little bit harsher on St George.
I suppose, as John pointed out, St George spent more time near their own 22. Brisbane had more territorial opportunities, I suppose.
Well, they certainly did, and there was a number of occasions there that I thought that a penalty would have sufficed to Brisbane.
And Langer, a constant threat in those positions. Well, let's have a look at the stats. Let's see what the stats tell us about the match. 4 scrums to 3 in favour of St George. They got that one tight head, which put some pressure on Brisbane. 5 penalties to 2, and most of them appear to have been well earned by Brisbane. Fair decisions, 5-2 in favour of the Broncos. Overall errors, 14 by Brisbane, 28 by St George. 28 made up of 22 missed tackles, 4 drop balls, 2 bad passes for the Dragons. And overall tackles, 140 tackles by St George, just 108 by Brisbane. Metres gained, 1,073 by the Broncos, 1,096 by St George. That surprises me a little. St George's kicking game probably making some of that ground. And time in possession, Brisbane and St George locked. They've both had the ball for 20 minutes. So really, I guess you could say that the stats don't tell us much, Arthur. As you say, Brisbane may be just a little more creative.
Well, there's no doubt about that. They've made more clean breaks, but once again, I suppose the fact that they've made so many mistakes, they've missed a lot of tackles, St George, but they do scramble well.
Well, it's time to go back to the vault for the last time for 1992. We've seen some great matches through the year. It's no different this week. This time, well, the last time St George won a grand final was in 1979 when they took on Canterbury. It turned out to be a game of 2 vastly different halves between 2 teams with quite different strengths. Steve Rebillard takes us back 13 years.
A fine day, a firm track and a full house at the SCG ensured it was entirely up to the Dragons and the Bulldogs as to the standard and style of play produced. Saints boasted an awesome pack with Rod Reddy, Graham Wynn, Craig Young and Steve Edge providing size and experience. Canterbury's strength was their backline with the 3 Mortimers and current coach Chris Anderson, brilliant attacking players.
Well, St George came into the competition in 1921. They won 15 premierships. They won 11 straight between 56 and 66. But that time, 1979, is their last premiership win. And Arthur, I guess it's been a bit of a drought since then.
It certainly has, and it was interesting to note that Steve Edge led the side for the last time in 79, went on to Parramatta and led them to 3 straight victories. But this might be the chance today. On that occasion, they were flagging towards the end, but with their Melbourne Cup preparation, they might come home in the second half.
Well, Brisbane going well, but there's that red-hot favouritism not looking quite so red-hot at this stage. They still lead by 2 points, 6-4 at half-time. Well, let's go down to Jerry Collins. He's with an avid Broncos supporter.
That's for sure, Warren. Actually, Billy Gardner was the coach of the only Broncos team to have won a premiership. That was the reserve grade 2 years ago. This afternoon, of course, the Broncos first grade, looking to become the first team to win the first grade premiership. But Bill, at half-time, it's really very close between these 2 sides.
Yes, Jerry, there's not very much in it at all. Both teams are working very hard.
What have they got to do in the second half? What have the Broncos got to do?
Well, I think that the main thing that we've got to do is everybody has to take care of their own job and make sure that they eliminate any mistakes or any unnecessary errors that might occur.
Were you expecting it to be this close at half-time?
Oh, sure, yeah. I don't think it'll open up a little bit until about 15 minutes into the second half.
And are the Broncos the team that can open it up and dominate that second half?
Yes, I think they can. If any missed tackles or anybody's not in position, that's when I'm sure Alfie and they'll exploit that weakness.
All right, Bill, I'm sure all the Broncos fans will be hoping you're right about that. And Steve Rebillard, I think, has caught up with a few St George fans.
The northern goalposts and the St George fans are looking at this match through red and white eyes, I can tell you. They're down in Bay 24-25. Fellas, how did you see that first half?
I'd reckon it's pretty even, but hopefully St George can go through.
What do they still got to do?
I'd say attack a bit more.
They're going to get the ball. What do you think?
I reckon it was a pretty close half. The kicking game of St George has been better than Brisbane's, and therefore pushing the Brisbane backs all the time back. And they're not making any yards.
You wait till Big Beaver gets back on Neil Tierney when he gets on there, mate, again after that short injury.
he's going to go out there and do a bit more, and he's going to kill the Broncos.
What do you reckon? Listen, mate, I'm Australia's #1 St George fan. I'm telling you this. What we got here today, it's more than just a football match. It's more than just a premiership. This is a way of life. And to see the premiership go north of the border, that's a sin. And I want to see St George rule for 1,000 years. 1,000-year rule. St George! St George! St George!
Oh, well, the Skull just had to get his head into it. One of the well-known St George fans. But, yeah, they're certainly a dedicated bunch, and they haven't had too much to cheer about in the last few years. They didn't have too much to cheer about just 11 minutes into the game when Alan Langer put the first points on the board. Allows play to... Alan Langer was always going to be a threat. Just 5 minutes later, St George hit back. With a loose arm. Goldthorpe moves it wide to Coyne. Goulet going straight. Beats the tackle of Langer and gets away to Beatty. Great pass on to Coyne. Sits it wide to Walford. Walford for the corner, chased by O'Neill. He scores. Great St George. Ricky Walford over in the corner. I wouldn't mind having a look at that one again real slow just to make sure he got it down, but I think he did. And that took the score to 6-4 in favour of Brisbane, which it remains at half-time. Now let's go down to Johnny Pearden and find out what's happening down there amongst the coaches and all the fans on that sideline.
Well, plenty of action down here, Warren. News from the dressing room is that probably the Broncos are looking to lock the St George ball carriers up a lot. There's a few offloads there that Wayne Bennett would have rather players been put on the ground. The St George room, I think they can continue with Scott Goulet attacking out wide. That's been one of their strengths in the first half. But at 6-4, no one's feeling comfortable, and this title's right open.
And as we saw earlier in the half, a thing like a scrum going against the feed could be very decisive in this game. The penalty count so far 5-2, but Arthur, I don't think you could argue with the way those penalties have been awarded.
Well, maybe I'm a bit different to you, but I thought...
you think there should be a few more, if anything?
I honestly think that he's allowed St George a little bit of latitude in the play-the-ball area, and I think he has to get over the play-the-ball area. And if they are slowing the play-the-ball down, they deserve to go to the sin bin.
Yeah, those penalties 5-2 to the Broncos at half-time. And I suppose if we look for a couple of tactics that both teams have used with good effect, the bomb certainly unsettled Julian O'Neill once when he took it, but lost it near the post. Michael Potter managed to hang on to one which came down awkwardly for him. But really, every time that Brisbane have got down to the St George 22 area, which they have a number of times, it's been Alan Langer, the threat, either running it or popping those little grubbers through.
Well, that's what he normally does. He turns around, he passes the ball, he backlines you, then all of a sudden you think you can relax, and he's prepared to take you on, and he's a very hard man to contain with that little sidestep, that little change of pace, and he certainly can get in behind your line, as we saw with that try when he gave the pass to Gavin Allen. Gavin Allen returned the pass back.
And Chris Johns with the head bandaged. And John, coming into this game, I suppose we saw it in many ways as attack of Broncos versus defence of St George. Both teams prepared to throw the ball around, but only one try resulting for all the effort.
Yeah, very much so. A very open game, despite the scoreboard. But I think the Broncos could work it wider a little earlier. Not earlier in the tackle count, but Langer, instead of holding onto it and phasing a second play and face balls, if you let it go straight away, I think they could do some damage out wide. So quick hands to the outside players. But Kerrod Wall is the real thorn in the St George side.
Yeah, I think Brisbane's backline hasn't functioned as a backline. In one sense, that's been because of the St George defence moving up to cut them off. All set for the second half. 40 minutes to glory. Peter Coyne with on the field for St George. Brad Mackay is still out there. Mark Hone has left the field. He came on as replacement midway through the first half for Brisbane. Alan Cann hitting it up. So Gavin Allen back on the field for the Broncos, ready to put in another spirited 20 minutes. Madison gets the unload from Waters, just short of halfway. Langer, couple of decoy runners. It goes to O'Neill. He gets it out to Johns. A little slowly, the execution. It finally gets to Willie Kahn. And that is a handover. Swing it wide on the last, but didn't really look crisp.
No, it didn't, and I'm a bit surprised that Willie Kahn didn't put that ball to the boot, and they paid the penalty.
St George just inside the Broncos half. Goldthorpe. Priddle had plenty of time to have a look. Kerrod Walters shooting up on him. Kerrod Walters leading the tackle count with 17. 11 kicks in general play by both teams in the first half.
You see the top hetman for both sides. Kieran Walters, as well as doing well out of the dummy half areas, leading the way with 16. Scott Goulet out in front with 21 hits.
Barnhill with a great unload. It was Collins, and just as he got it, Kieran Walters came from the clouds.
Quick play the ball.
Coyne shopping around, finds Goldthorpe inside. He nearly got his hands free, and Beattie was on the burst.
Another great tackle by Kieran Walters over the top.
Fifth tackle. Peter Coyne puts it high. Mark Coyne was offside. I thought he's coming through on O'Neill. He contests the ball. It goes loose. The referee says it was knocked on by O'Neill.
I agree with you, Warren. The referee should have looked to his linesman. That was too hard a decision to make, but he was definitely offside.
He flew high, Mark Coyne, and Julian O'Neill just couldn't quite hang on to it on the fingertips, but Mark Coyne just crept in front of his brother as he put the kick up. St George with the feed to this scrum. Goldthorpe, Tierney.
That's a new move.
Noel Tierney standing out, Neil Tierney out in the back line. Who put his head into the scrum? Mark Coyne. Slips it beautifully to Goldthorpe. He's close. Just taken by Lazarus. Sighted to half a hole. Quick play the ball. It's Collins having a go himself. The first receiver was so wide he decided he'd go himself. Goldthorpe swings it wide. Goulet. Held by Johns and Langer. 5 metres out. St George desperate for a try to start this second half on the right foot. They move it to Potter. Bit of room for him. Barnhill was coming around on the inside. It's the fifth tackle. 20 metres out. Out the back of the hand. Goldthorpe now. Beattie on the ground, and Broncos have got it. Coming away is Alan Cann. He was just waiting back there. The defence has gone away now. Penalty goes to the Broncos.
Penalty
against St George, taking a man out without the ball.
Yeah, Ricky Walford, the culprit, took Stephen out without the ball, but he was entitled to tackle him on suspicion, as we see. Ricky there bulldozing Stephen off.
I think Alan Cann dummied to him and then held the pass back.
The Saints deciding to run it on the last. I'm surprised. I thought the correct option would have been to try for a restart. Just sink that ball in behind the goal line. They weren't too far out, only 10 metres.
Kieran Walters appealing against a high tackle by Barnhill.
Gavin Allen is hurt, and he is hurt. He rolls back to the ground. Doesn't know where he is. Kieran Walters pushes away from Mackay. Langer. Lazarus. Gavin Allen still down. He's not well. Walters taken high by Barnhill again. The referee says it was around the chest. Langer pops it through. Johns is flying. Mark Coyne took him out with a shoulder. Potter loses it on the ground. Heron cleans it up. Well, that was desperate. Potter made his first mistake of the game. An awkward bouncing ball, Langer's kick, but Mark Coyne went out of his way to put the shoulder into Chris Johns. I don't know whether it was classified as jostling.
That's a good little grubber, and it's taken Broncos a long time to wake up to this. With the compressed defence, it's a great option kick, and we see...
Looked as if Potter lost his footing just as he was about to get the ball. The drop out from Coyne.
But that's a great option against the compressed defence, John.
Yes, unfortunately they've got Mick Potter against them. Barnhill's just received a caution on the run for that head-high tackle. It was a beauty.
I know it's a beauty, John, but didn't it deserve a penalty? What are they doing out there?
Yeah, well, you don't get headache. Here's Walters with a run down the centre.
Kevin Walters left 3 or 4 behind. Collins, Tierney and Goldthorpe ball missed him. Great run. They're 12 metres out. The play, the ball was held up.
It was a shocker to play the ball.
Now it comes to Gilmister. He can't hang on. It goes back and dived on by Goulet. When you say it was a shocker, John, was it the fault of Walters or St George?
They just slow play the ball, yes. They did it well. They slowed it right down.
Yeah, but I thought St George were at fault once again because the referee McCallum spoke to Goulet. He said, get away from him. He should be penalising them in the ruck area.
Now Tierney, but no steam in him there as he's an easy target for Allen, who's recovered from that knock, and Lazarus, the 3. But he's been put in third touch. Well, brilliant football marred by a terrible mistake. Potter taking the ball over the touchline.
Yeah, beautiful kick by Alfie Langer, just laying it in the goal area.
Great chase, Chris Johns
coming along. He misses. Great evasion shown by Mick Potter, but look at the slamming tackle for Willie Kahn. And here he comes in, Kevin Walters, to assist.
Yeah, they're not only faster, the Broncos, they're also stronger this year. Take your hat off to their conditioner. Kelvin Giles.
Yeah, they do plenty of weights. Now Langer, only 9 metres out, calling the shots. He goes himself, Langer will go all the way. He's done it again, Alan Langer. Second try of the match. Yes, the try is awarded. Langer came racing across to go into dummy half. He yelled to his players to spread out to the left, but all he had in mind was a little hole he could see on the right-hand side. He darts back to the left. The marker, Peter Coyne, ran into the referee, and Priddle couldn't lock him up. That's a fair try. The tackle was not completed. Look at Peter Coyne run into the ref.
You see that there, the referee, using the referee as a shield, and Priddle not arriving in time to lock up little Al.
Langer saw that little bit of space on the open side. Should the referee have called it back? Because Peter Coyne ran into him?
You've got to say it's bad positioning by the referee.
Yeah, I'm saying, should he have allowed the try on that basis?
He's allowed to use the referee as a shield.
The tackle was taken out.
It's on the board. Look at the board.
I know that. 10 points to 4 in favour of Brisbane. Bronco fans delirious. Langer scoring a try 11 minutes into the game and 11 minutes into the second half. Destructive blows for the Dragons' cause. Now Madison with this kick, an important kick because it can stretch the lead to 8 points. And Terry Madison makes no mistake. It's 12 points to 4, 8 points the difference. The Broncos in control now.
Willie Kahn, you got a lot of strength, a lot of sense.
Coyne. Ball from Trevor Gilmister here. He used to be known as just a tackler, but look at this ball coming up. He slipped it around to Can. Ricky Walford falls off the tackle. Potter loses him. Another tackler missed there. Peter Coyne, 3 tacklers Alan Can left behind.
So this was a great run after a great break by little Alfie. The ball shifted wide too, but Beattie made the mistake of coming in there on Gilmeister, but look at the bulldozer, this little bulldozer, Alan Can. He just shrugged off tackles one after the other.
Brisbane's youngest ever graded player. Came into first grade last season, Alan Can. Has made his mark well established in first grade this year. 21 years of age. 2 tries in 4 minutes for the Broncos. Could have wrapped this grand final up. It will be very tough for the Dragons from here. They've sent Tony Smith on. He's joined them behind the posts. The Broncos have got the cheer squad well organised. And Peter Coyne is leaving the field. Madison, close to the post again. He makes it 3 out of 3, Terry Madison. And Michael Beattie has also left the field.
Yeah, Rex Turp, the new player, Warren.
Beattie, the skipper, is off.
This Gilmeister taking the ball up. He flicks one just out the back door. Now this sets up that try-scoring play by Alan Can. Walters is on the spot as usual. And there's Alfie, as usual, doing everything in this game. That set the try up.
Michael Beattie will be absolutely dejected to be leaving the field, but he'll be praying that his team can do it for him. Yep, it's catch-up time, catch-up football time. Another thrown pass, and it's been pulled out by Brisbane.
Yeah, ruling that Can or Lazarus, I think, stripped the ball. See Can going in for the tackle there, and Lazarus over the top at the hand of Alan Can stripping the ball.
Mark Hone on the sideline. Came on in the first half and then was rested.
Too easy for the Broncos.
2 tries in 12 minutes to Alan Can. And look at him. He is a very strongly built player with a big future ahead of him. Only a young man. He's had to weather quite a bit of pressure this year. Came under pressure for spear tackles and eventually did have to visit the judiciary. But he's come through with flying colours. And Terry Madison now. Of course, born in Auburn, but playing for the Broncos. A Sydney sider, a New South Wales State of Origin representative. Not far from the post this time. And again, a beautifully hit kick. right over the black dot. It's 28 points to 4 in favour of the Brisbane Broncos.
I think Alan Cann put a call over the top of Alfie Langer, who's just on the inside. Look at that step. He picked Tierney out and he thought, I'll have a crack at this bloke with my left foot step. He's done it well. He's had a wonderful game, Cann.
So St George now, it's time to play for pride. It's a horrible thing to say when you're down by this far. It's very hard to lift yourself, but it hurts even more. There's Wayne Bennett. Has he got a smile on his face? Not quite yet, but I'm sure inside him there's an immense feeling of satisfaction. He deserves full credit for the skills of these players. They're brilliant individuals, but he has honed their skills. He's brought some of these young fellows on. They're not all internationals.
Arthur, we might have some problems protecting our 38-point margin in 1975.
I was just looking at that, John. You're not wrong there. The way they're going, they're starting to open up, aren't they?
28 to 4, of course, John, you're talking about the mighty eastern suburbs defeating St George there.
That's in 1975, it was 38-0, but gee, they've got some great players, these Broncos. They're going to be on top there for many, many years.
Yes, and when you look at the bench, there's some great players there, and I suppose that's the only thing to look at the moment. Who is going to get a game in this premiership decider? And I suppose you...
It is a thrill to get out there on the grass, and Wayne Bennett's is going to use a fair few of them.
Tony Curry amongst them there, about trying to shrug off tackles. St George still trying to set the defensive line. It's the 5th tackle. And makes an extra job of the tackle, and the referee doesn't like it. Potter still on the ground.
And once again, we see Potter in the ideal position as Craft comes across and cover defence. But here's Willie Kahn just coming in, just leg opening there, and the elbow coming in the back of Potter's head.
I think Willie Kahn was disputing whether the elbow had really hit Potter in the back of the head or just on the back as he tried to come in. Let's have a look at it from this angle and see how bad it really was. Certainly some aggression shown. Oh, yeah, fair enough. That was... Gilmister bumps away from Elliott.
And we can see the error count by both sides, and the awful statistic is 40 missed tackles by St George.
And you've got to say that's a tribute to the way Brisbane play the game. They make you miss.
Well, they're certainly going to make you miss, aren't they? And we see the ball going off flat onto Gilmeister.
When Lazarus is off. Papua New Guinea hurt his foot. Last tackle. Goldthorpe goes wide. Barnhill dancing around with Langer in front of him. And now to Mark Coyne. Great pace from Coyne. Looks inside. Intercepted by Renoff. Nothing's gone St George's way. They have tried to throw a few passes which haven't been on.
But once again, great scrambling defence by Brisbane. They could have closed up shop, and what they've done, they've scrambled in defence here. We see the ball going back to Renoff. He was coming back, scrambling in defence.
Arthur, I don't think St George could have any excuses today or any complaints.
Well, they're beaten by a superior side today, and up until half-time it certainly was a contest, but the Broncos just opened up after half-time, courtesy of Alfie Langer, and they've certainly played some great football.
And a wobbly old kick from Langer finds touch. It went off the side of his boot, but beat them all. And I've got to say that this Brisbane side, they play great attacking football. Spectators right around Australia, not just in Brisbane, have enjoyed the way they play the game. And I think they're somewhat Canberra-like in that way. That great Canberra side, which won 2 grand finals and lost another in the last few years, they played a tremendous attacking brand of football. The Green Machine, well, this maroon and gold machine might be able to do some damage in the coming years as well.
You're not wrong there, and they've got some great athletes in this side. They've got strength throughout the club. It might be a little bit different next year because of the fact that they haven't got an under-21 team now, but I'm sure they'll put them into the Brisbane side.
And with St George on the halfway line, Goulet inside is Hardy, but the defence still holds. I think we can go down to Jerry Collins with Alan Cann.
Yes, Warren, Alan Can, after scoring 2 tries, Alan, a fantastic grand final for the Broncos as it's turned out.
Yeah, mate, it has. It's been, you know, a bit of a fairy tale second half. First half was very tough, but we just kept going and, you know, we come up with the points.
Did you expect their defence to open up as it did?
No, I didn't actually. They were very tight in the first half and they were defending very well.
And what about when you went across for that second try, stepping inside? You must have been pretty happy with that.
Oh yeah, you know, it was just a one-on-one, and most times you can get over top of that. But you know, I was very happy.
Well done, Alan Can.
Alan Can, he's just saving the elation till the end of the game, I think, savouring it at this stage. Now it's Madison, Renoff, hurdling over players. This guy is an athlete. Beautiful step. Potter gets him again. The ball back for Walters. He can't hang on to it.
Certainly had an outstanding game, Steve Renoff. There was a question mark over his defence, but gee, this lad can certainly run the football.
And yet again, I know we've been giving him some praise, but it's well deserved. Mick Potter, yet another tackle. He has made one mistake in the match. He did go into touch, but otherwise it's been faultless.
He certainly can hold his head.
He takes it up again. Goldthorpe, Elliott, great ball to Mackay. He slides straight through. Now this is a chase. Across comes Hancock. Will he come from behind? And the 2 wingers sandwich him. But a great break from Brad Mackay. Now can St George score a try here? It'll be well deserved for their season's efforts. Rex Turp loses his footing. Only 9 metres out. 1 minute 40 left on the clock. The Broncos don't want to win the game behind their posts. Goldthorpe, Collins, Goulet, he's been a threat all day out wide, he's going to go through, yes! Scott Goulet has scored the try, in goal judge, gives it the nod. Goulet has been out wide all day long. He was damaging early in the first half, has been quieter since, but this time he was there to take the pass. It's only a consolation try. It's 28 points to 8, but a reward for St George. Brad Mackay making the break down the far side, then they swing it to the other side. A little change of pace from Mackay. Curry made the tackle but couldn't stop him getting over the line.
Yes, a great break by Brad Mackay. The ball was sent out to the very wide to Wayne Collins, some cut-out passes. Scott Goulet really stood up Tony Curry there, and Tony Curry didn't have the pace to get him until it was too late.
Represented country origin this season, Scott Goulet. Has represented Australia in rugby union and rugby league. And of course his father Robin played for St George in the 65 and 66 grand final wins for the Dragons. Unfortunately it won't be a grand final win for Scott today. And with 17 seconds, this will be the final moments of the grand final. Ian Heron can try and close the gap again. The crowd might put him off, counting down the last 5 seconds. Heron moves into it and misses, and Brisbane celebrate. Probably not fitting that they finished the game behind the goal line, but the grand final of 1992 goes to the Brisbane Broncos. The congratulations, the honour, the glory. It's all Brisbane's today. And look at Michael Hancock. There is nothing like a club championship win. It's a different thing to playing for Australia or playing
Certainly the best team all year. What about 6-4 at half-time? Did you think that they might come home a little stronger, or did you have the confidence in your condition?
No, we had the confidence because we've trained pretty hard, and the 2 weeks off have done us a lot better, I think, and most of our guys are pretty fit. But you got to give them credit. They played well in the first half.
Well, any point you could, or any aspect of your game you could look at that made you a better side this year than previous years?
Oh, you know, I suppose you've got Glenn Lazarus, you know, he's enormous out there. He gets us forward, and Trevor Gilmeister, them 2 players, and Alf, you know, them 3 players are just fantastic. They were there last, the fine line between winning and losing, but I think a bit more experience from everyone in the team, and you know, I think we've all grown up a little bit more.
Thanks. Go and enjoy it, Terry.
Yeah, thanks, Johnny.
Thanks, mate.
Over the last 4 years, Wayne Bennett has said that each year this team has learnt that it takes intensity week in, week out to win in Sydney, and they seem to have finally learnt it. Let's go back to Jerry.
And we've got Chris Johns. You'll be a pretty happy man, Chris.
Oh, mate, there's no one happier in Sydney than me at the moment. Probably a world.
And a New South Wales State of Origin player, but boy, great to be a part of that Brisbane side.
Mate, just sensational. Just great mob of blokes. Just unbelievable feeling.
And what about that second half performance? Have you seen anything like it in a grand final?
We didn't do anything different in the second half than what we did in the first half. We knew we just stuck out what we were doing, what we did all year to come through for us, and it did.
But it was pretty tough in that first half.
Yeah, very tough, mate. They come out fine. It was a grand final. We were expecting them to, which is great.
How are you going to celebrate this?
All week, mate, all week.
Good on you, Chris.
And Chris Johns is one bloke who does love to celebrate. Brian Smith consoling his players. There's nothing like the empty feeling of losing a grand final. Honestly, it feels, well, there's just no answer for it. There is no consoling. And let's go down to one of the Walters twins with Johnny Peard.
Well, Kerrod, you ripped them apart early with your runs from dummy half, but a 6-4 at half-time. How was the feeling?
Mate, we knew that, you know, we were playing very well. St George for defending made it seem like they have all series, and we just knew if we kept throwing everything out, and they couldn't hold us out over the whole 80 minutes, and they could come out in the second half and do the same thing again, and at last they cracked for us.
Bit more maturity in the team this year?
Mate, I just realised that to win this comp, you've got to be 100% every week, and we went out there each week to do our best, and we done it this time. I believe that Ray Hume's a big Broncos supporter, your director.
He certainly is.
Good on you, Ray.
Good on you. Thanks, mate. That's wonderful.
Well, Kerrod Walters giving a cheerio to our hard-working director, and of course I'd like to thank all our crew while we're at it too. They've worked hard all season. But here is the man of the moment who's going to go close to the player of the match, the one and only Alan Langer with Peardy.
Well, Alfie, how's the preparation the last 2 weeks?
Well, it's just a matter of waiting game. I think that's the worst part of it. But now we're here, now we've won. It's just a great feeling.
You're a far better player than you were a year ago.
Oh, I'm happy with the game, but I'm just happy with the whole mob of blokes I play with. They're just great. They're great just not on the field. They're great off the field.
Right, what about the conditioning side of it? Did you feel you were superior?
Oh, I don't know about that. We were getting a bit tired too, but the quickness of the second half really slowed St George down, I think.
Congratulations, you're credit to the game.
Thanks, Johnny.
You deserve the win.
That's a true statement. Credit to the game. I mean, the guy has a tremendous attitude. He's a very easy guy to get along with, whether you're talking about the media, the public, his teammates, and he's a great footballer.
He certainly is. He's certainly a great footballer. He's played well. Alan Counts played well. Kieran Walters, they played well across the board, the Broncos.
And now, as Brian Smith leaves the field, there's Steve Renouf celebrating. Jerry Collins is there with Michael Hancock too.
Steve Renouf is here with me. Mate, Mick Hancock just jumped on him. Steve, you'd be pretty happy.
Oh, mate, we're wrapped. You know, this is what we've been going, striving for all year, and we finally got it.
Such an important try, your try when you had to run the full length of the field. What were you feeling at the end of that?
Oh, mate, my legs are just gone. I was just hoping my legs would give me that bar, and it did.
And when you bounced across the line, all of a sudden the grand final seemed to be well and truly on your way.
You know, we knew we had won, but we still had time to, a fair bit of time to go, so we just held in there.
Congratulations, a great effort.
Thanks a lot.
One of the most exciting players in the game, Steve Renouf, and now Wayne Bennett.
Well, Wayne, first premiership in Sydney. Great effort by the players.
Yeah, it was. It probably wasn't one today. They had to do the job today. I felt it was 1-2 months ago at Penrith when we beat them down there. It was a great win there. They come out, they won their last chance of the season, and I knew that night we were going to win. It was just a matter of waiting the 2 months.
what sort of improvement's been in the team over the years? Have you seen a gradual improvement, just maturity?
Just to be able to play the disciplined football. I mean, today St George had us plenty of pressure, but we just kept it fairly simple, grafted away, and then all of a sudden now the breaks come for us, and that was probably epitomised by the Stephen Wolf try. You know, we've gone from defence straight back into a counter-attack situation, and it was all over for them.
Yeah, that chip in behind the line by Goldthorpe, that was worth a restart, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And then you got the other try we got was a great chase by Johns, Walters and Kahn, and forced Potter in the end, out of bounds, and you know, so they're the things that we've improved in, the little things like that.
Yeah, certainly. Congratulations.
Thank you, John.
You deserve it.
Wayne Bennett, a man who last year many people in Brisbane were calling for his head. They said he had so many class players, but he hadn't been able to get them to the grand final in a couple of years. But this guy can coach. As Alan Langer goes up on stage, and Ken Arthurson, chairman of the Australian and New South Wales Rugby League, welcomes him and congratulates him.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank St George for a great game. They put a lot of pressure on us today, but it was also, thanks St George, but also I've got to look on the other side of the board. Our blokes played great all year. They're under pressure to come in down here to Sydney. But also I'd like to thank all the supporters that travelled down from Brisbane to support us today. And also all the supporters back in Queensland waiting at home for us to come home tonight. But Wayne Bennett has put 5 years of hard work into us, and it comes down to 80 minutes of football today, so thanks very much.
Arthur, you know more than anyone the pressure that Wayne Bennett has been under.
He's certainly been under a lot of pressure, but he deserves a great pat on the back, not only the way he's coached the side, but the pattern of football they play, the type of football they play. It's a revelation for the code.
Yeah, they play attacking football, they make the ball move, they play the sort of football that spectators love, and they win. Now Michael Beattie, he must be a very sad man. He failed in 1988.
I'd just like to say thank you to everybody that came today. I think Rugby League was the winner. Congratulations to Brisbane, the champion side. We put a lot of time and effort into that team, and we can all say that they're a world-class football team, and I say I'm a very, very proud man to be beaten by a side like that. Just like to thank all my players, coaching staff, everyone that's been involved in St George this year, right through to Jeff Carr's done a marvellous job. All you supporters that have travelled every game, we love yous all. Penfolds Wines, and a big thank you to a very good friend of mine, Martin Newman. I love you, mate, for everything you've done for this club. Look forward to being part of it again next year to you. Thank you.
Well, you can see why people respect Michael Beattie. That was a tremendous grand final speech from a man who must be shattered inside. But Beattie saying there that he will be back next year. He was thinking about retiring. In 1985, he played a grand final with St George, but they lost against Canterbury. He's had to suffer that same fate today, but no man tried harder in the first half. He certainly came out aggressive and fired up.
Yes, he certainly did. He came out aggressive. He's a very competitive bloke, and a number of his tackles came under question, but Mick Beattie, as he said, he'll be back, bigger, better, maybe a little bit older, maybe a little bit wiser.
I think we've got to give credit to Brian Smith, the St George coach, too. I think he's handled himself very well, and this team have been a very well-drilled St George side right throughout the season. And here they are receiving their runners-up medals.
Yeah, Brian Smith can be very proud of his St George blokes. As we saw before, he was going over, patting the boys on the back. He said, keep your heads up, boys. We'll be back next year.
And you might have noticed both coaches also going to their benches and thanking the players on the bench for their efforts. There's Ivan Henjak. He's played his part this year but didn't get on the field. Brian Smith talking to him, and you can bet that he was just letting them all know that they had been part of the effort, even if he wasn't able to give them a few minutes on the paddock in this grand final.
Ladies and gentlemen,
well, most clubs probably use 26 players every year, so that he's entitled to go over to the blokes like the Henjacks, the guys that really got them there.
And look at that team spirit. It's one of the great things about rugby league. At the end of a game, the two teams go over and shake hands with each other. And you might think, well, they just do it out of habit. But I think somewhere deep down, that's one of the greatest habits, one of the great pieces of rugby league. Both teams respect each other's ability and acknowledge it with a handshake at the end of a game. There's the Premier of New South Wales, John Fay, congratulating Alan Langer. Here it is, the moment of glory.
It's nearly as big as Alf, isn't it, the Winfield Cup?
Well, little Arthur Summons there with Norm Provan back in that great West versus St George grand final, and they've called on the bigger man, Glenn Lazarus, to help him lift high the trophy which signals supremacy in 1992. And that trophy is going to go to Brisbane, across the border for the first time.
As heavy as may be, Kelvin Giles might use that as an all-season weight training program.
Well, they've booked a first-class seat on a plane back to Brisbane for that trophy tonight so that it doesn't get dropped on its head as it's passed around from one teammate to another. And Glenn Lazarus, what a part he's played with the grand final experience of Canberra behind him. If there has been one factor in making the Brisbane pattern of play that little bit more secure this year, it has been Lazarus storming up the middle, and not to take anything away from Gavin Allen as either, because not far behind Lazarus has been Allen.
Well, he's been that settling influence that they've missed over the last couple of years, and he certainly, as Kieran Waller says, gives them that go forward.
And the Winfield Cup presented, and now the JJ Gilton and Shield, which is the ongoing symbol of supremacy. Sponsors may come and go, but not this. A founding father of rugby league, the JJ Gilton and Shield. From the Sydney Cricket Ground, year after year it's been carried for a lap of honour. Now it's the Sydney Football Stadium. And the Broncos have it in their keeping. And they have earned it. I don't think anyone can dispute it. I think you may have been coming through in those interviews that we heard over and over. The Broncos were saying, we've performed all year, we've been the best team, and we did it again today, and I think they can justly claim that.
I think most clubs will agree with that. As I said, they deserve to win it. They've been the best team, and I think it's been a good thing for rugby league. Maybe the St George supporters won't agree with that, but...
Yeah, I don't know if everyone would agree with you there, but the Broncos and St George too have played their part in a great season. They've improved on last year. They've played some fine football right through the season. John Quayle, General Manager of the New South Wales Rugby League, I think we've got to give full credit to the way that the administrators handle the game these days. Occasionally we quibble with minor things, but overall the game is going ahead in leaps and bounds, and people right around Australia know it. And there they are, the Broncos gathering around the JJ Gilton and Shield. We will see that photo on the front pages tomorrow. And let's hear the song.
Alfie's leading the way.
Well, the boys can even sing. They can hold a note by the sound of that. I think they'll be yodeling tonight.
There's a question mark on that. Maybe with a few gallons of powers in them, they might improve.
They play football better than they sing, but they didn't do too bad for a dressing room song. But look at the faces of the St George guys. Nothing they can do or say. But they've been out there, they fought hard. And all they can do now is look on. Well, let's go down to one of the unfortunate losers, Noel Goldthorpe with Peardy.
Well, Noel, you're beaten today, but by a pretty hot side. Yeah, they're a great side, John. You know, we come here today, we were going to give it our best shot, and on the day it wasn't good enough. So full credit to the Broncos. They're a great team, and I'm sure they're going to be up there years to come.
Definitely. What about 6-4 at half-time? You must have been confident.
Yeah, we thought we could have come out here in the second half and finished a lot stronger than them, but it wasn't to be. You know, they finished on top of us, and they're holding the cup. We ain't.
Well, it's been a satisfying year for you personally.
Yeah, John, I've had a great year. You know, I would have capped it off, you know, if we were holding that cup, but, you know, we were beaten by a lot better side today, and full credit to the Broncos.
Okay, mate, thanks a lot. Congratulations on your year.
Thanks, Johnny. Thanks very much.
Yeah, wholeheartedly agree with that, John. Noel Goldthorpe, who was really a reserve grader last year with West, occasionally a first grader, but he's shown himself to be a very skillful player. Hail our new King Alfie. Wally Lewis is here at the ground today, but I think Alan Langer now has stolen the hearts and minds of many Brisbane fans. Not that Wally will ever be forgotten. Michael Hancock and Gavin Allen. Special moment for Gavin Allen and Chris Johns. They played with St George. In fact, Chris Johns came on in the 85 grand final for the Dragons from the bench, but they have triumphed over their former club today.
Yeah, big Brett Bowman and of course Steve Renoff coming up to share that moment of glory for them, and what a great find he's been for the club.
A welcome planned for tonight at the Town Hall in Brisbane. I think it's the Town Hall. There's certainly going to be a civic reception about 8 o'clock tonight when the players get back, and then they'll be celebrating at the Leagues Club later.
So they want to get in early because I'm sure if it was tomorrow, there wouldn't be any conditions to attend an official function like that.
Now, Arthur, you've had the honour of going around the Sydney Cricket Ground as it was, carrying the trophy for the Lap of Honour. How
misses or whatever, it might be a bit churlish really, because today's Brisbane's day.
Very hard planning against the Broncos, isn't it? They've got so many strike players.
Yeah, and a lot of it comes from broken play, John. You know, they've got such talent. I take my hat off to them. I think, you know, the way they play is a good thing for rugby league. And I shook Wayne Bennett's hand, and actually he smiled, and so did I, mate. So that's a first, because, you know, I said to him that it's taken them 5 years to build their team, and we're in year 2 of our development, and we might be back yet, mate.
I think you'll be a contender for many years. Thanks, Brian.
Good on you, mate.
I played football with Brian Smith at St George, and he is always a tough player to play alongside, and he's a very intelligent bloke who handles himself well. I think we can go down to Glenn Lazarus.
Thanks very much. Glenn, a big effort by your forwards today.
Yeah, it was. You know, we knew if we got on top of them in the forwards, our backs are going to do the job, and thank God it worked out.
Someone's giving you a great kiss there. Got lots of lipstick here.
Yeah, my wife, she loves it. She's been a part of every grand final I've been in, and she loves it just as much as me, and she's, you know, very happy for me, and you know, obviously, you know, she wanted to come out and get a big kiss, so I don't mind receiving.
Well, that's just about it for our year too. We've been very pleased to have Jerry Collins and Steve Rebillard helping us out today. Been great fun working with you, Arthur, and also John right throughout the year.
Well, it'd be nice if we could back up next year.
Well, it is a bit of a strange feeling. We don't know whether we will be back next year or not. The New South Wales Rugby League and the board of the ABC have yet to reach agreement on the size of the rights fee for next year. We hope that they will reach agreement. The negotiations are continuing. I'd like to thank everyone for all their letters and statements of support right through the year. And they've certainly come in from right around the country. All I can say, whichever side of the argument you're on here, if you've got an opinion, well, make your voice heard, because you can bet there are people lobbying for opposite points of view, and no matter what it has, whether it's rugby league, whether it's the ABC, make your voice heard wherever you are right around Australia. Johnny Pearce down there as well. Thanks to John for all his efforts. Thanks to all of our ABC crew. There's Petey, one last flash. Thanks to all our crew for all of their efforts through the year. Have a great summer, and we'll see you again next year, hopefully. Leon scored! Goulet going straight. Beats the tackle of Lee and gets away to Beatty. Great pass on to Coyne. Switch it wide to Walford. Walford for the corner, chased by O'Neill. He scores! Great St George try. And Langer, the Ipswich connection. Madison. Gilmister. Great ball under Alan Can. Can out of one tackle. Out of two.